I've been on the water for as long as I can remember. Every fish, every fight, it's all a new challenge. With my love of fishing and my love of art, opportunities are endless. Once I discovered lobster taxidermy, it was all over for me. I became obsessed, one after another, and now I have my biggest challenge yet. This beautiful 3-pound female was locally sourced down in Narragansett, Rhode Island. I'm blurring the dispatching out of respect for the lobster. She was most likely 15 to 20 years old. Now that I got the tail removed, I want to remove as much material as I possibly can. At this point, I'm trying to separate the head from the legs and the claws. I really need to get into all the crevices to be able to properly clean them. Once I get all these popped off, run right over to the sink. Now, I definitely can't get everything at the moment, but I'm slowly chipping away at it, getting all that meat out. Frankly, a lot of folks would be really surprised how much meat's actually in between these legs. Now, I'm basically going to do a Florida-style extraction of this tail. You see this pretty common in the Florida spiny lobsters. I've never seen it done with a Maine lobster, and frankly, it's pretty difficult. So no surprise there. Now, I've never done a lobster this big before. Normally, I can punch a hole with the knife and then use some scissors to basically cut along. But this was really fighting me. I had to go outside and get my wood saw. No wonder, too. These claws are 1/5 of an inch thick. You guys are seeing this nice and fast, but this took me quite a long time to actually be able to delicately cut through. At this point, I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm already $60 into this lobster, and I know that any miscut could lead to this whole project being over and done with in the very first day. With a lobster this big, there is no leaving the meat in the legs. Although I'm losing some natural coloration, I'm getting a lot of the oil out of the claws, stuff that would not go well in the preservation. But now taking all the meat out makes it quite a bit easier. Now that most of the meat's out, it's time to really scrub this thing down. Try to get every last ounce of meat out. Any residual meat can rot, so there is no room for error in this process. But now that I did all that I can, it's time to soak this for at least 24 hours. I left this for I think 26 hours in total, but I'm doing a 4-to-1 ratio of hydrogen peroxide and water. And of course, the meat didn't go to waste either. Now, after that 26 hours is up, this is what we're left with. A lot of that natural color is still there, but I gotta let it dry for at least 24, 48 hours or so, just to make sure it's bone dry before I start spraying it, so I can give the lobster a more lifelike appearance. I made sure to run steel sculpting wire all the way throughout all the legs. Now I have full control when I go to orient it however I want. You definitely want to orient it in the proper position before it dries, like this head and tail here. This here is 48 hours post-peroxide mix. And we do a bit of spraying. Gotta lock in that natural beauty. Trying to do the best I can, keeping it light. Wow. If scratches could tell a story, this would be an epic, that's for sure. You can tell that she's been in quite a few fights in her life. Now we can see her true scale. She's almost 18 inches. But now the hard part truly begins. This here is why this lobster is so much different than every other taxidermy. This is .220 thick acrylic sheets. Each sheet's almost $40, and I can make no mistakes. Ugh, every time, so scary. What I'm doing is I'm scoring it with a plastic cutter, and then I'm going through with my wood saw, just making sure all those edges are as clean as possible. I can't have a single mishap. Now you guys are just seeing the snaps, but each one of these cuts took me about 15 to 20 minutes each, making sure it was all perfect. Alrighty, so here we got the two worst cuts out of them. These are going to be the 12-inch sides. But now that that's all done, after doing quite a bit of math, I figured that I need at least 144 inches of this solid oak trim. And this is the nice stuff too. But I'm sparing no expense when it comes to this project. This is literally the best thing I've ever made in my entire life, so the calculations were also quite difficult to get down as well, because each one of these guys is 1 inch by 1 inch by 1/4 thick, and each of the insides are 3/4. And I know exactly what you guys are thinking. Use a miter saw, use a miter saw. Why isn't the sander plugged in? I live in an apartment. My neighbors already hate me as it is. This wood saw took me forever, but it's at least a little bit quieter. But look how straight that is. Perfection. Look at that. All said and done, doing this trim took me about 2 days, working 4 hours on it each day after I got home from work. But now we're here. Time to polish up all this wood, get it looking all nice, get all that sawdust off of there, and we're almost ready for the glue up, and I'm quite nervous at this point. I'm currently 1 week into the project, and I have everything laid out right in front of me. Now it's the moment of truth. I can't get silicone anywhere but exactly where it needs to be. I had to go out, buy a ton of clamps too. These clamps were not cheap either. They need to be at least 24 inches each. I also need to make sure that every last drop of silicone and glue is exactly where it needs to be, because this is the last time I'm ever going to be able to touch the inside of this box. Once I seal up the lobster inside, there we go. Look at that beauty. Huge lobster. Once I get the silicone on here, get her into position, there's never going to be any moving this ever again. It's completely locked. All this silicone and glue is going to make it completely indestructible, but look at these beauty shots. You can really see the true scale. After 15 to 20 New England winters and summers, here this beauty is, sitting in this box where she will be forever moving forward. Her shell has protected her entire life, but now it's my turn to make her a shell. I know you guys just saw that in 30 seconds, but I want you to know this took me all day. I got home from work at 4, and it's now 1 a.m. when I'm taking these beauty shots. But the very next day, this is what I see. Although I did lots of math, I was off. Here you can see the scale of the project, and I am not taking mistakes. Now it's time to lock in. Lots and lots and lots of tape. I need to seal everything off. I'm going to be using some epoxy to actually fill these holes up. And now that all the tape's on there, you can see what I'm going to end up putting in the epoxy. After yet another Home Depot trip, I got my epoxy, and I'm actually going to mix it with some oak sawdust. This here is not only going to fill those voids, but it's also going to make it incredibly strong as well. It's going to be like the wood was grown that way. Not really, but you know what I mean. I'm also painting all the panels too with that JB Weld, just all around the corners. I need this to be completely waterproof, because if any water gets in there, how are you going to get it out? This epoxy dries way too fast though. I swear, it's like literally 5 minutes, and then I can't work with it anymore. But as you can see, I'm using my drill just to be able to get quite a bit of sawdust. It's also making bigger chunks as well, which I think will make it a bit stronger. As the epoxy goes down, that tape needs to come right up. Last thing I'd want is that tape to be glued there forever. As you can tell, I also don't have any gloves on. I really need to be able to tell if the glue is on my hands or not. But here I am retaping everything back up the very next day. This is 24 hours later now. I'm going to be sanding everything down, and the last thing I'd want is to accidentally scratch the acrylic. I'm starting with 80 grit, then I'm going to go to 120, and then I went to 220, and then I went all the way up to 600 actually. It was quite a big jump, but it really did give that nice mirror finish in the end. And yes, I am using my drill. I have a shoe polish attachment that I'm using for this. I do also have a sander, but last time I used it, my neighbors all complained to me, so it looks like we're going to be sanding in the kitchen. I keep my kitchen spotless, so the cleanup really wasn't too bad. Now with wood like this oak, there is no need to overdo it. No stain necessary. This is just getting a coating of polyurethane. It's an oil-based coating that's going to give it that nice sheen and also quite a bit of protection as well. Now victory is in sight. We can finally see this whole project coming together. At this point, I'm already a week and a half, 2 weeks into this, $350 deep, and I'm finally seeing the completed lobster. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye. I'm also all about transparency. This is how much time and how much money went into this whole project. Thanks for watching.